Ele é um dos mais influentes chefes do mundo, tem um percurso de carreira incrível, 10 restaurantes, já acumula 7 estrelas Michelin. Ele que criou a Octofilosofia, se calhar já muitos de vocês ouviram falar, eu nunca tinha ouvido. Deve ser uma viagem comer um prato destes, baseado na Octofilosofia. Uma viagem à boleia das emoções e das memórias de 8 elementos. 8 elementos que estão sempre num prato para fazer um prato perfeito e fazer essa viagem. É apenas uma das criações deste chefe que vocês vão ouvir agora. Ele nasceu em França. Ele nasceu em Taiwan, no Taiwan, e foi para a França aos 15 anos. Ele agora quer, acima de tudo, para além dos seus 10 restaurantes que vai gerindo e faz questão de ir a todos eles, quer, acima de tudo, partilhar o seu conhecimento com outros chefes, com outras pessoas que queiram aprender com o exemplo dele e muito também constituir aquilo que é um conjunto, uma enciclopédia, no fundo, uma coleção daquilo que é a comida chinesa, porque, de facto, a gastronomia é a identidade de um povo e nós que sabemos tão bem disso. André Chiang, please, you can come to the stage.
Working? Okay, perfect. Okay. First of all, congratulations. It's a successful event, and I was here this morning, and the topic and the contents, it was just fantastic. So congratulations to Melting and for Portugal to have such a wonderful summit to begin with, and I'm very happy to be the first Asian speakers. Okay, so at the beginning I was a bit intimidating of talking about myself, for this event, but I guess it just sometimes it's like a cuisine. When you taste such a beautiful dish, you want to know how it's made. Likewise, maybe when people know about André or Restaurant André, they want to know more about how everything come about from the very beginning. So I'm here to share with everyone that what are those very important mottos in the different period of André that makes André who he is today, and also what was the intention behind all the hard work that we put in. So yeah, fearless, that's something really important to me. That is fearless of me. Since I was little, I fight for my gold. I fight for everything. I never believe in talent. I always said I don't have talent. I work for everything I want. I work hard for it. So I grew up in a very ordinary family in Taiwan, in the night market. I guess that's how I get in touch with food. From 24-hour, we have a night market that we live 3 generations in that night market. It's a 24/7 market. The morning they sell fresh ingredients. The afternoon they sell pre-prepared food. So, like prawns, blanched prawn, so people can bring that home and then cook something easily. And then the late afternoon, it will be some fried, from the raw pork to fried pork. And in the evening, you have the stall. You have the stall that they sell food. So you see that 24 hours ecosystem from the raw ingredients in the morning and to all the way to the evening, it becomes a dish, and then the next day again. So that triggers me that how an ingredient can become a dish, or how the same ingredients can become a different dish. And then I see that every single day because that's where I grew up. I started when I was in Taiwan. I was born in Taiwan. I grew up in the night market, and my mom was a chef, so there was one thing that we always do. I didn't have much toy when I was a kid. The only thing that I always play is I would take those carrots and vegetables, and they fight together. Like a toy, that's my toy, My mom was a chef, so I spend most of my time in the kitchen. And then I'll take those vegetables that look like animals or dinosaurs, and then that's what I play. And there's one game that me and my mom always play since I was young, is we will go to a restaurant and she will order a dish, and then we will look at each other and taste the dish, and she'll say, okay, you start first. We need to guess what's inside the dish. And it's like a ping pong game. We go back and forth, and the last one who stops, lose. Okay. For example, like sweet and sour pork. Okay, well, I started with pork, and then she'd say onion, then I'll say capsicum, and she'd say ketchup, and I'll say sesame oil, and she'd say the other one. And that's how we play until the last one lost. Of course, I always lose. So, yeah. So I decide to, from that point, I says, no, I want to learn something different, That's where I decided to go to France. My mom has a Chinese restaurant in Japan, so I first went to Japan to work with my mom's kitchen, and I realized that we still play this game every time we go out. I still lose. Why? Because I was working in her kitchen, so everything I learned, she taught me. So I will never win. So I say, I want to learn something different, something that she doesn't know. So at the weekend, I will go stage, I will go volunteer to work at different restaurants. And then I be able to learn something different, and then I'll come back more. That's how I train my palate, basically. And so that's the first part of me, how I get into cuisine, how I get into industry as a chef, because of this game between me and my mom. At the age of 16, I started to work professionally in a 3 Michelin star restaurant, Jardin d'Essence in south of France. It was an occasion that I was doing a volunteer, I was doing stage at one of the restaurants, and the chef went for an event. And at the end of the event, he told the French chef that, who's that little boy? He said, oh, it's a stagiaire. I said, but he's very good. Ask him if you want to go to France. And I say, yes. So then I go to France. And so that was my first restaurant, first official restaurant in the 3 Michelin star restaurant. And then I worked with all the 3 Michelin star ever since. 17, I come back to Taiwan to wait for the army, and I fell with the exam. So they kicked me out, and then I go back to France again. Yeah. At the age of 18, a lot of things happen. So, yeah, as you can see, a lot of things happen. I was self-supported since I was a kid. I go to school, I pay my own bill, I buy my own bike, I manage myself. So it wasn't easy when I first go to France and being paid by SMIC. SMIC, we call this the basic salaries. So I have to do a lot of things to support myself by doing, human tests. Is that they give you a tube of medicines and you apply that 3 times a day. And 1 week later, you go back to the place and then they tell you that, how do you feel? I feel dizzy, I feel vomit, I feel itchy, okay, and then they pay you. And I don't know what that tube is. Yeah, things like that. And also modeling during the weekend, because in France, it's sometimes hard to find Chinese looking with this European size. So I do that also. And the other one, Louis Vuitton, it's the weekends I will go to that shop because at that time, Chinese tourists can only buy 2 items per person in the shop. So for someone who lives there, I can help them to buy more pieces. And I get tips from that so I can support myself. So what I'm trying to say is no more excuses. There are no excuses of, oh yeah, because this, because of that, so I cannot do this, I cannot do that. Be fearless. I don't feel that I cannot survive in any of the environment. I'll find a way out. And then the other thing, during my important year, started from 18 of being a professional chef, I feel that I am too much away from being a real French. I cannot just do what I do, learn how to cook. I need to know everything about French culture. So I do a vendange. We learn how to make wines, and hunting. You go fishing. You go foraging. I dedicate all my time for learning what it's French cuisine all about. And one of the things that I do every month is the monthly dinner. Is at the end of the month when I collect my salaries and then I spend it all in one night. Just go to one best restaurant in France and order the degustation menu and with the best wine pairing, the best service, and spend it. Why I'm doing this? Because only when you know how high is the sky, then you know how to fly high. Only if you see that it's a star, I will never reach the star. But if you learn how to calculate the distance from here to the star, you will know how to get it there. There is a way. So I spend a lot of time trying to figure out many things at the same time. The weekends I will help my sommelier to manage the cellar so I can learn a lot of wines. We'll organize the kitchen staff. 1 person buy 1 bottle of good wine per month. So 7 of us, we can have 7 good bottles, and then we share, in our little apartment. And that's how I collect all the data of being a chef. Started from there, all the way until 25, and I become the executive chef of the same restaurant, Jardin d'Essence. I should say that every 6 to 8 years, I give myself a goal, and I give everything I have to that one thing. Every 6 to 8 years. Why? I don't know. I feel that it's a good time. It's not too much. It's not too less. So that 6 to 8 years, I dedicate everything to in that restaurant to become a chef. So my motto is show your hunger and show your thirst. to knowledge. And I will not stop until I reach the top. It's what I mentioned, that only when you know what is the best, then you can exceed the best. So started from there, I started traveling, and I planned to work with the best of the best. I work with Troisgros, Robuchon, Garnier, Ducasse, and Barbeau. Why these 5 people? Or why these 5 people so important? Because they represent the best of the best in 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and millennium. Yeah, so 60s, 70s, Troisgros, Robuchon, Garnier, Ducasse, and Barbeau. Then I traveled to Paris, Tokyo, Bangkok, Singapore, Shanghai. Then to Africa, to Seychelles. And that is where I dedicated my 7 years from vertical to horizontal. So I did my 7 years in vertical, just tried to go as deep as I could. And then I spent another 7 years to go horizontal. I want to learn what is the best from 1960s all the way to 2000. And different continents. And really to understand that what is a DNA of André. What does that mean? Is that what is André's cuisine different from all the masters that I learned from? If today I see a piece of egg or an asparagus, what will be the first thing that I cook? Probably the dish that you were taught by one of the masters. But then where is André's identity? So I spent a lot of time when I was in Africa, is that I was disconnected from the information, from what is the trend out there, what is the latest technique, what is other people doing. No, I was focusing on myself to understand what is my identity. Then we create, then I come back to Asia after 20 years, and I created my first restaurant, Jean Paul André, and also the philosophy of Octofilosofia, which I will mention later. So Jean Paul André, not many people know about this restaurant before Restaurant André, because that's when I first arrived in Singapore. And when I want to find the smallest restaurant I could possibly find and open the restaurant. So it's called Jean Paul André. We have 5 staff in the kitchen, 22 seats. And very quickly, in 16 months, we reached the 50 best restaurant in the world. So we were shocked. Singapore was shocked. The whole world was shocked. Then I went to London to attend the award ceremony, and then I come back, and then I decided to shut down the restaurant. And so my friend said that, André, you're crazy. Only for one reason, because I think André has too much more to give, and that little restaurant just not good enough. And I feel that if I'm only on my second gear, and people think that's everything about André. No, I have so much more. So we shut down the restaurant after I got back within a week. So we got the 50 best restaurant, and a week later, I closed the restaurant. And then in 6 months later, we opened Restaurant André. And we launched Octofilosofia. That's where I feel comfortable that I can have everything that I want to give properly. And then I told my friends, I said, if we're good enough, we're going to come back. We don't take this wave because we're waiting for a bigger wave. And we did come back in 6 months. We're back on the list. So Octofilosofia, we're going to talk about it later. It's a practice that I do to create the dishes. Something more science. Yeah, something more scientific way of understanding creativity. Creativity is not something out there, not something that just come from nowhere. You have to have a system and a logic to it. And after that, where I realized that being a chef is not just a chef, not just cooking or running a successful restaurant. We also have a very important social responsibility. So that's where we start to involve a lot in the community, also the cities, the countries around us. We start to work with one of the project. It's rainforest cuisine. So rainforest cuisine, it's about protecting the Borneo rainforest, which is the biggest forest in the world. How to protect it from the native people sell the land to the oil palm plantation company just to do the palm oil. Let them understand that the value of that rainforest is like a ATM machine. You go into that forest, you can pick so many things, and you can sell it as a medicine. You can sell it as you don't have to sell the land to the big company. You can just go in and withdraw, and then sell it for over generations. And zero wastage is another project that we show the best restaurants in the world not creating the biggest wastage. The fine dining restaurants are creating more wastage than a casual restaurant. So being in this movement that we need to set ourselves as an example. Best of the best donation, it's connected all our world's best chef to support each other's project. For example, 5 years ago, we had the big typhoon in the Philippines. So there were 20,000 lives was taken. So I called Roca and I said, we want to do this charity event. So he flew over, we did this charity event, and then we give all the donation to the typhoon in Philippines. And then the other chef, you have any projects 3 months later, you want to support for the child education, food bank, and then we support each other on each other's project. So this is one of the things that I feel very important. Ice Cream Uncle. Do you guys know that every culture has its own ice cream culture? Every cuisine has its own ice cream culture, and they are unique from each other. Unique flavors or shape or presentation, or sometimes even music is different. And that is the food identity that's set apart from your cuisine and this different cuisine. And every culture has its own ice cream. So this project was to protect the unique ice cream music or truck, or from being, the same like everyone else. So that was the interesting thing we did. And then from The moment that we opened Restaurant André, we decided to dedicate at least a 22 class to the university every year. Until today, and until the past 10 years, that's something that I decide to do. So these 7 years, I try to focus on creation. I try to focus on flavors. I believe that taste is an expression of beauty. Just like color, just like alphabet. We are sharing the same alphabet, but we compose in a different way, and that becomes beautiful painting, that become a beautiful architecture, that becomes different beautiful vocabulary. So mind your own craft, your own tradition, master it. It's something that I always share with our young generation. Why? The reason I'm saying that is nowadays it's so easy, right, to just search on the internet, and then you find how to roast a chicken, how to fry a fish. But, you know, the person that who made that video, he probably tried 100 times or 1,000 times, and you only tried it once. So how to set your part different from each other is you have one thing's better than the other. Make yourself irreplaceable. There's one criteria of working in our restaurant during the interview is I want the people that we hired have one thing that better than anyone else in the group. You can be best cleaner, or you're obsessed with arranging dry storage, or anything. You must have one thing that better than the other. That makes you irreplaceable. We are a group of, it's not a hierarchy, we are a group of specialists. Everyone should be a specialist in the team, some kind of specialist, even a stewarding or. And I believe a more local, more global is that nowadays, because of the internet, because everything is so easy to access, French cuisine look like Chinese, Chinese cuisine look like French, and all the cuisine kind of look the same, like each other. You find the same elements, the same seasoning. So how to set you apart from others is to being local. The more local you get, more identity you get, and it's more different than the other one. I want to talk a little bit about Octofilosofia. Octofilosofia is something that we developed since the very beginning of Restaurant André. Do you all know what this is? No? It's carrot. It's not a different type of carrot. It's just a normal carrot from supermarket. The only difference is we open it in a different way. Okay, so you take one piece of carrot and one piece of pomelo. So you peel the carrot in a pomelo way, or you take a pomelo and you cut it in a carrot way, and you see a different carrot, or you see a different pomelo. What I'm trying to say is the same thing that we see every single day. It just takes us 1 second to prepare it or to see it in a different perspective, and it becomes a completely new thing to you. So what is unique? No, it's nothing is unique, or nothing. You put the short hair lady between all the long hair lady, and then the short hair becomes unique. Or you can be the other way around. So we start to look at cuisine in a different way. We see that whole dining experience adds 8 different elements, like 8 different actors, in one video, one film. So 8 elements represent 8 different dishes. So we need to create a lot of dishes and then identify them in different categories, and how this dish become pure, how this dish become salt. We have a way to do it called octagon analysis. And then once you have that, then you serve these 8 dishes in 8 different perspectives. Which means that if I serve you a candy or a tiramisu, and then I serve you a watermelon, you don't taste the watermelon. Why? Because your palate gets tired. Then you don't taste the sweet anymore. The same thing, if I serve you the same concept of dish again and again, your palate gets tired. You don't remember what you eat. But if 8 different things come from 8 different perspectives, everything is a fresh punch from the first until the last. So this is the criteria for every single dish. That's what we do. For example, we have these 2 dishes, and they are from different categories. The first dish is the one on the right, horseradish, vanilla, and corn. Okay, so it's not a special ingredient, but what's so different about it is that unique combination. Yeah, it's not so much about craft, it's not so much about artisan, but it's about that unique combination. You hardly could imagine vanilla and horseradish and corn, what kind of chemical effect that will create. And then the other dish that you saw just now on the left, it's focusing on salt flavor. So squid, kelp, and the potato. It's a special potato from Noirmoutier, the west side of France, that grows only in the seawater. So it's a salted potato. So this whole dish is focusing on sea flavor, ocean flavor, marine taste. Not so much of emotional, or not so much about the unique combination. So what does that mean? If I have 8 different dishes that come from 8 different perspectives, at the end of the day, when you layer that 8 dish together, it becomes a complete octagon. And that's what you want. That's what you want. Same thing for the palate. If we're hitting you with 4 courses with the sweet, sour, spicy, bitter, and every course is a fresh punch, right? If I give you sweet and sweet, or sour and sour, that you don't taste the second dish. So with Octofilosofia, we start to travel. We start to work with the different artists around the world. We travel 21 countries with all the different artists to create furnitures and to create pillows and create the different art piece based on this concept of Octofilosofia. So it's no longer just a cookbook or cooking method. And it was really surprised that in Asia was very well received, and the people were queuing to come in to see the exhibition. And it's really a lot of people. And these are also some of the photos that every year for the past 10 years we do many classes for the university. Just now, sorry, I go back to this one. There was a taxi that I took one day, and then the taxi driver has an Octofilosofia book in the taxi. So that was not set up. So I was very surprised. Yeah. So, because I believe that when you want to change a diet, you want to change the way that our new generation, you have to start early. So that's when Restaurant André started. We feel that we have the responsibility to express the concept, the idea, and the education. Not only externally, we also develop the team internally. Since Restaurant André opened, every year we open a new concept. Not for us, for our team. We start to develop, we have to select the best chef within our team, and then we support them, and we give them all the resources we have to let them have their own restaurant. I guess this is quite rare for any other restaurant group compared to what we do. The reason that we're doing it is that along the way you realize that a lot of people that work with you, they are very good in something. They're very good. This guy is very good in barbecue. This guy is very good in fermentation or wines or other things, sometimes better than I do. So somewhere along the way, I feel that they should have something that really focus on that. So every year we create a restaurant, a different style of restaurant. From Bernese, Australians, and then Japanese, American, Parisian, Taiwanese. Until 3 years ago. So 3 years ago, we were in a World 50 ceremony again. And that year Massimo Bottura was the number one. And we were very close. We were very close friends. So on the stage, we hugged each other. And then he grabbed me and then he said, André, you are very important. You need to make use of your influence. I say, okay. Then he say, because you're the Bruce Lee of gastronomy. I said, I like that. I like that Bruce Lee thing. Second of all, I noticed that how important of us being a chef, especially in Asia. I'm fortunate enough to be the first Chinese that ever be on the list. It is important for us to set an example. So from there, I kind of planted a seed. He kind of planted a seed in my heart that I have to do something. So the next year, at the 10th anniversary of Restaurant André, I decided to return to my Michelin star and start from zero. So we closed down Restaurant André and opened the restaurant Zen after that, at the age of 42. The reason that I closed the restaurant because I hope I could have my next 7 to 10 years can really focus on the education and make use of that influence to more people. Then I returned to where I was born. I returned to Taiwan the next year. And we start to focus on, of course, then we open one more restaurant, Setramun in Macau. Then we start to work on this Taiwan flavor alphabet. What is Taiwan flavor alphabet? It's every cuisine has its own alphabet. We use more or less the same ingredients, but we compose it in a different way. That makes it so unique. We eat tomato with the ginger and soy sauce together as fruit. Okay, so you will see tomato in a fruit platter. We combine things in a very different way. I'm sure that every culture has its own combination. So that makes every cuisine so unique. So we start to build up this flavor alphabet, because only when you have that, then you have the language, your cuisine's language. Then I focus a lot because I work with Massimo in many different channels about food waste, and he has a movement of refectorio many years ago. And Taiwan has a lot of a food bank that take care of all the waste from the supermarket of the bigger channels. Then we start to work on a 700 master project. 700 master project is like a culinary incubator or accelerator that helps all these young chefs to connecting dots, connecting with all the resources that we have. So my motto is to develop your team as you develop yourself. You give them really the support that they need. You know, a lot of people complain about nowadays the young chefs, they stay in one place for a few months and then they go to another place. You never see someone that is stable. Our chef, they stay with us from 8 years to 13 years. People ask me why. I said, you know, first, of course, we take good care of them. Second is that they know eventually they will have their restaurant. I give away my restaurants every 10 years. The restaurant reached 10 years, and then we give 100% to our chef. So they can sell it, they can do anything they like. They renovate it and give it another name. That's how we do it. People always think about how to run a restaurant, how to create a dish. How can you create 10 different restaurants with 10 different concepts? Are you good in everything? No, of course, I'm not good in everything. My team is important. But also at the same time, you need to understand what is cuisine. What is cuisine about? You need to know your heritage. You need to know your people. You need to know your tradition. And of course, you need to know nature. Yeah. So once you want to master one cuisine, you need to focus on these 4 things. So that's how we develop a different style of dish, different style of concept. You know, at Restaurant André, it's something more fine, sophisticated, something very personal that we create. And you almost don't see that whether it's a French influence, it's Japanese, or it's a cuisine on its own. Burnt Ends, it's a restaurant that we focus only on wood fire. So there's no gas and no electricity for cooking. So it's 100% wood fire. Just the freshest ingredients and the fire itself. And then we have Bincho. So Bincho is a restaurant that in between 2 buildings, it's on the fire lane. So it's a very long restaurant. So we started with a Chinese noodle shop. And after you pass that door of Chinese noodle shop, you go inside. It's a 12-seat yakitori, Japanese yakitori. And then once the yakitori, you go inside. It's the whiskey and sake bar. So you can start with the new Chinese noodle and then go for barbecue and then have a drink at the end, or you can start from the drinks and then go barbecue and then go have a noodle. So you see, every concept that we develop, sometimes it's not because we want to, it's because we have so many great talents that are working for us, and then we support them with something that they're so passionate about, and something that they're very good at. That's American Southern style barbecue. Then we have a Port 12 in Paris. It's 150 years atelier of corset, handmade corset. And then we turned that into a restaurant nearly 10 years ago, 9 years already. So next year I'll be giving it away to my chef. And he will own the restaurant. He will change a different name. You see a completely different style. Here I want to share with you that how we share information. We have something called like a satellite system. What we do is we have a cloud, and all our chefs create. And when they create, they share the same information. Like I make a special barbecue sauce, and then that barbecue sauce goes to that satellite. And then everyone from different restaurants, they can access to that special creation. So we share all the informations, we share all the knowledge, the dish that we create. Also, we have about 300 staffs. Only the best person who do that particular thing. What I'm trying to say is you have our wine director take care of all the restaurants. So he take care of a wine list of a fine dining restaurant. He also take care of a bistro, also a Chinese restaurant. So you have the best person to do it. You don't have, if you have a small independent restaurant, you don't have the privilege to have, a top specialist to take care of your HR or your PR, your marketing, your strategy, your design. So we have the best person that take care of each sector. China. In Sichuan, this is a very interesting project. This is a bridge 600 years ago, like a Ponte Vecchio, a corridor. And it was torn down by floods like 100 years ago. So we decide, but what we have is this picture. So we decide to rebuild this bridge with the restaurant on it. So we call this restaurant The Bridge in Sichuan. So that's how we want to build this bridge back. And that's how it looked like. So it became the landmark of Sichuan right now. That's the nighttime how it looked like. So we inject not only the traditional flavor, but also something really clean and international. We try to revive not just the culture itself, not only just the bridge itself. We want to do something completely different. Instead of adding Western elements into it, I feel that's kind of abusing Chinese culture by adding a Western flavor on it to make it international. We try to take out the things that is unnecessary. So the Chinese cuisine remain Chinese cuisine, but cleaner. This is one thing that I always share among our group. is challenge me. So in our group, in our team, that everyone can challenge the other person or the system with something more efficient or a better solution or a better sauce, better taste. You can always challenge each other. So challenge me. It's very important things among me and my team. Yeah, we always say that. Second thing that we always do is problem analyze solution. People ask me that, Andre, how do you run all the restaurants? And I said, no, I cannot run all the restaurants myself. They have to be independent. But how can they be independent? Is we have this thing called problem analyze solution. It's when everything happens, you need to come up with problem analyze solution. So, okay, it's leaking. Okay, you don't say it's leaking. It's leaking from broken pipes and the plumber's on the way. So that's problem analyze solution. So that's how we manage. So I defined success as being needed. What I'm trying to say is the most successful restaurant is not the best restaurant. The most successful restaurant is a restaurant that is needed by the community. So what we try to create is an environment for the team, environment for the community. So we cannot create a concept and try to force it. You know, like I want to do an Italian restaurant and I create a concept and I put it in this place, I put it in that place. No. If today I was given a garage, I can sell, I don't know, ice cream, T-shirts, and bikes. You know, why not? It has to be something that makes sense. So at the end, I want to share a few words that is very important to me to share with everyone or aspiring chefs in this part of the world. I traveled 22 hours to come here to give you 30 minutes of Andre, and then I'm flying back tomorrow. So I hope to share something with all of you. First, I think important is hard work, train your endurance, and be consistent because that shape you with stability and discipline. Embrace limitation. There will always be the limitation or challenge. So embrace the limitation because it triggers your creativity. And be a specialist, be an expert. That's how you become competitive. And never forget your original intention because that gives a purpose and vision of everything that you do. I'm Andre. Thank you very much. Thank you.